I hope that the program of this litany of St. Eugene de Mazenod and the exploring of the 20 petitions has helped to discover St. Eugene de Mazenod as a saint for our times. I hope that it's been a deepening of the way in which you live your faith, or for some of you, have begun an invitation to a new way of living your faith through the charism of St. Eugene de Mazenod. The question of why St. Eugene de Mazenod remains a significant model of faith is an important question to reflect on. For me, it is his response to the post-French Revolution church, which I believe makes him particularly relevant. We gain an insight into this through the preface of the Oblate Constitution and Rules, in which we find the original preface and text which he wrote. It lays out the current conditions and situation of the church, his response, and his missionary plan. All relevant for us today. Just remember, he is writing and doing this all as a diocesan priest, not as someone set out to set up a congregation. In laying out the conditions and the situation of the church in the preface, he spoke about the church in terms of cruelly ravaged. He gave the image that it was in pieces. And he said, "Such is the state of things brought about by the malice and corruption of present-day Christians, that it can be truly said that the greater number of them are worse off now than was the Gentile world before the idols were destroyed by the cross." One contributing factor he highlights is the failure of priests and the church. As we live in the post-Royal Commission church, we can certainly relate to that. His response was to gather a group of like-minded priests and form a community to respond to this need. And he says in the preface, "The sight of these evils has so touched the hearts of certain priests, zealous for the glory of God, men with an ardent love for the church, that they are willing to give their lives, if need be, for the salvation of souls." If St. Eugene was responding to the same need today in a post-Vatican II church, I am sure that it would look different and would involve laity. So St. Eugene de Mazenod recognised the need and responded to that need by creating a community of like-minded individuals to effect change by becoming a living witness. It was in and through community that we are effective missionaries. His response was to preach missions in parishes, nothing unique at the time, but his emphasis on the mission band being a community was unique. He recognised the importance and witness of the community. I believe that is exactly what we are trying to do today in Australia and in the Australian province through the de Mazenod family. The church in Australia has been cruelly ravaged. There is a need for re-evangelisation, and we are calling for like-minded people to create a community to be a living witness and agents of change through living out the charism. It is also a call to go one step further, to be missionaries. How is that done in and through the de Mazenod charism? St. Eugene's missionary plan was very simple and very practical. Once again laid out in the preface of the Constitution and Rules. He says, "We must lead men and women to act like human beings first of all, and then like Christians, and finally we must help them become saints." The first step of re-evangelisation and rebuilding the church is restoring people's dignity, helping people recognise their dignity and their worth. It comes from his own experience of recognising his dignity at the foot of the cross before fully being able to embrace his own vocation. This leaves such an impression on him that it shapes the direction of his life, his ministry, and ultimately the congregation. We hear this passion for restoring people's dignity come out in his famous first homily he preached as a young priest. It characterized his life and his mission. So why do I believe that St. Eugene de Mazenod is a saint for today? He didn't wake up and say, I'm going to start a congregation of priests and brothers. No, he was a priest who recognized the need and invited others into his mission. He created a community which then became a congregation. St. Eugene remains a saint for our time because what he did over 200 years ago is possible for us today. I hope and pray that you feel invited, challenged and encouraged to be part of the de Mazenod family community, to live your faith through the charism of St. Eugene de Mazenod.